Mesh. Catch us on Twitter as @MashaLavaSpeaks. IG, it will be the man Yonela. Catch us on Facebook as Yonela Mashalaba. Good morning, Mash, the After Jog Thoughts. My name is Uyonela Mashalaba, aka the iceberg that never broke. Do not forget to subscribe on this very beautiful and informative channel. Do follow us on Twitter as Mashalaba Speak. On IG, we are the man Yonela. Facebook, Nguyonela Mashalaba. I don't know if you guys have heard about VegToYou, but these are the guys. Ovuyo, Nolonwabo. How are you guys?
No, man, I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, man. Today we are chilling with the founders and directors of VegToYou. Can you guys just tell us about, actually, welcome first. That's the first thing I should be doing.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us. Thanks for having us.
Skip
we
the
appreciate
foreplay.
How are you guys?
No, we're good. We're good.
Good,
We're good. We're good. You good?
Good, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah, now we're good, man.
Man, just tell me about VegToYou. How did this concept actually come about? I know you and I have spoken about it for an extended period of time, and
yeah.
I know, but my viewers want to know what you guys are.
I think for the fairness of your viewers, right, let us then, probably introduce ourselves so that people can then get an understanding of how the two concepts, like the concept links with us personally.
Exactly.
Obviously, my name, as you mentioned, Lorabo Mioli. I grew up in East London. I grew up in njengabanye abantwana ke. I played sport and stuff. But not so much ke university, but still maintained, keeping healthy, active, and so on and so forth. And in fact, with Umesh and a couple of other people, we run on Sundays. We run with VegToYou. So the concept, in essence, came about as a result of identifying a gap in the market. Right? And that gap was particularly that you had a lot of delivery services, but these delivery services weren't for health-related products. Most of them were for fast foods. If I know Uber Eats, Mr. Delivery, and whatnot. And in essence, in a space like Osama Strand, or you've got a big student population, and you've got a huge population of people who then go about exercising, so some of them we see them at the beach and the whatnot. We then thought, how about having a delivery service that delivers fruits and vegetables at convenient prices? And then at the time, we started off with a combo, right? Which was the 200 rand combo. Ironically, we still have that 200 rand combo.
That's our combo for life.
It's a combo for life.
Yeah.
And the 200 rand combo just had, a combination of everything that you need with family. From peppers, tapile, carrot, you name it, essentials. Then eventually we sort of grew out of the combo thing and allowed customers a bit more variety. But the concept came from, in essence, how can I say, identifying a gap within the market. But I think Vuyo can introduce himself.
No, Vuyo mna, I'm also a co-founder of VegToYou.
Yes.
I grew up in Port Elizabeth. I'm from Port Elizabeth, and sort of slowly got into entrepreneurship when I was in university. Started out this guy. We had another consultancy thing that we started, and then we rolled out of that into another company that we have. It's called Woke. It's all about entrepreneurship and filling information gaps. And we sort of rolled into VegToYou as well. In addition to that, and that was just interesting in going through that journey and being introduced into entrepreneurship in that way, and climbing onto these projects and slowly building them into what they are now.
And in fact, before that, where Uvuyo and I met, we were never friends. We met Kuchase Investment Challenge. So there was cool. A university challenge where, in essence, it was a virtual replica of the stock exchange, right? So I met Uvuyo through a guy named Kelvin. Kelvin, white Dibana's team there of people who are going to participate in JSC Investment Challenge. Then he hit me up. He was like, Yela Lons, I'd really love you to join. I'm working with this cool guy, Uvuyo. And I was like, okay, sure. I mean, it's a nice challenge. Let's go for it. And we sort of got to know each other then, and we liked each other's vibe and work ethic. Yeah, because each week, we'd be coming back with decisions on how to change our investment portfolio, or on how I'm learning new things about investments and we really like that energy of we got to learn so much more about investments, and what we learned through that program or the kind of effort that we put in was a bit more than what your average individual would be putting in with respect to a competition of such a nature. And that resulted then us starting the consultancy, us being able to work with together, and then we started that. I mean, that did not work much. Work sort of came about, as Uvuyo mentioned, and then we eventually got to having the idea of VegToYou.
Okay, so Vuyo, can you tell me what it's like for a small business like VegToYou to be working in the period of the pandemic? What that entails, like from day one, when you guys realized that the economy is almost shutting down, or what were the first thoughts that you had, and what did you guys implement?
So I think for me personally, I didn't know what to expect in terms of now our market that usually buys from us from the week before. It was announced it was going to be locked down, and then what we saw was an exponential rise in sales. So our sales essentially had doubled, and our customer base had also increased. And the reasons for that, obviously, are that people are at home, people don't want to be in grocery stores or going out, so there were a lot of fear over COVID-19 and what to expect. So from then, we really had to then readjust our business. We looked at the safety elements as well. We weighed that and the way in which we can properly then structure our business to ensure that we do keep safe with customers. And and then we readjusted the way that we did things in order then to be able to accommodate the volume. There was a lot of learning there as well, because you have to learn how to now you're doing maybe a small amount of deliveries a month. Now that has suddenly doubled, tripled, quadrupled. So now it's like, now we have to adjust things. You have to make sure that you can deliver quality to the customer and ensure that now you can capture customers for the long term. So that was what we were really working out at that time. And it was for week. You're tired. You're working every day, waking up at 5 a.m. It's crazy, right? So that was really what that moment was and is still. And it's been I think it's been a period that for some, unfortunately, for most of the economy, it has been bad. For some businesses, it has been beneficial. The COVID-19 lockdown, especially for delivery businesses. So that I can tell you is our experience during lockdown, where we've been able to grow, right, and look at the future of our business.
So basically for you guys, COVID-19 came with opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I remember telling my friend Lawrence there, I remember the time Mama wanted me to go home there. And as a result, for a short stint, Mama says and I was telling her, like, I just saw an opportunity. Like, I'm not going to school, and here's my opportunity to really learn about, or really, put in my effort and energy into this thing. And I remember telling my mom that I would really love to grow something meaningful out of this. And this is the reason why I'm not going to go home. And my mom is like, okay, fine. If you don't want to go home, I'm not going to pay your rent. I'm not going to pay, send you allowance and stuff. And I was like, okay, it's fine. Like, you can do that. And there were no hard feelings between myself and my mom. But for me, I just felt like this was the opportunity to really get the business off the ground, because quite a lot of the time we like to harbor around, comfort, things that don't necessarily scare us, and for some time, no mama can't stare, but we're obviously fine now. We sort of resolved our issues. I don't think there were necessarily any issues, but with any other parent, ne, there's always that concern
Concern,
of
yes,
like
yes, yes.
my child is far
Out
away,
there, and she might feel that she's in a position of safety and you are not.
yeah. So she sort of felt that, but otherwise we saw an opportunity and things were changing and they were changing fast. I remember at a time we were operating from where I stay, and that space sort of became small because now you're dealing with a situation where you've got about 30, deliveries that you have to make a day, and essential when you look into those deliveries, you're delivering to families. Yeah, so the space became small. Then we decided then to move to where VegToYou stays, and that space also became small to operate in. So right now we are operating from a warehouse just off Barkens Valley. So it was also an opportunity to grow in a number of aspects, not just from a sales perspective, but we also grew in the perspective of now actually having something that we call a business and something that we wake up to on a daily basis to say that no ndipangela pa. Do you get my point? So there are a lot of transitions. Yeah, well, there are a lot of transitions that happen, and I think we're truly blessed for having the opportunity come at this sort of time.
Okay, both of you guys are Nelson Mandela University students, so I just want to know, has the university played any particular role when it comes to shaping you guys to become the entrepreneurial leaders that you guys are and or becoming? What role has the university played in that, in terms of developing your entrepreneurial niche?
Definitely, definitely. Like the university has played quite a role, né? But then again, you see, we then need to put the concept of role in context. I think certainly entrepreneurs cannot be trained. You cannot be trained to be an entrepreneur, né? Because it involves a process of, taking risks, né? And being able to be content with certain risks. Do you get my point? So what I mean by that is that essentially having the strength to put yourself in a position where you're sort of uncomfortable, né? And going on with the understanding that things will eventually become comfortable if you continue to learn and build in a space where that particular thing you're introducing did not necessarily exist. Né? So I would say the university played a role, né? Not a direct one, an indirect one. I think the space in itself, identifying the fact that there was a market for how can I say it, the health conscious individual, came as a result of the space that we were in. Né? Secondly, being in a space where there's students, you sort of got a chance to pilot the concept, né? With some of our peers. Do you get my point? By being able to sell to them. Thirdly, there was a competition we entered last year, EDHE. Né? I think from that competition, in as much as we did not do in the way in which we would have liked to do, né? We got to learn quite a lot of things because we had the opportunity to have our business compete with other businesses. And in that whole process, we were able to then see things about our business that we did not necessarily think about and that were very important and that were crucial for the growth of the business. Because whenever coming up with a solution, right, there are certain aspects that make it unique and that sell off a certain story that allow for consumers or users to buy from it. I think from that kind of perspective, the university has played a role. I think the likes of Omam Karen have played sort of personal roles in terms of, guiding and sort of essential grooming leadership capacities and capabilities. Being part of university societies has assisted that, the ability to lead a group of people and have an outcome out of that entire process. So I would say from an indirect perspective, the university has been able to create, the kind of environment that would have us as entrepreneurs. But I still do feel there are a lot of things that are lacking within that regard.
Where didn't you play a particular leadership role in that
Yeah.
EDH? Can you
Yeah,
take
so
us through that as
yeah,
well?
so I'm the national rep for the national EDHE rep for entrepreneurship for Nelson Mandela University
Yeah.
for this year. EDHE is the Entrepreneurship Development in Higher Education.
Okay.
And they are a program that's under the Department of Higher Education and Training.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing with their program is that they essentially their aim is to create entrepreneurial universities, and essentially having people who represent entrepreneurship within each university, having student representatives. So I'm one of those representatives, and there's a representative for each of our South African university.
Okay.
I also have the annual Lapota, where there are various discussions that we have for example panel discussions on how we're approaching entrepreneurship within the university space, entrepreneurship within academics, as well as in making students as well part of that conversation as to how do we include students within that as people who are who have influence in terms of policy, shifting policy towards student entrepreneurs, with entrepreneurs operating in spaces within the university. How do you empower entrepreneurs to be able to operate, because what you find is that a lot of innovation around the world happens, begins within our universities. You look at innovation that happens in universities like Stanford, where there's a big a culture of entrepreneurship, and it is within those higher institutions for higher learning that you find a lot of success stories. You find guys who go off to start big companies, like Facebook, and these guys meet their co-founders within universities. So the space is very important as well. The space is very important to know.
Talking about that, is there anything that you think Nelson Mandela University in particular could do more in order to promote this entrepreneurial think?
Yeah, no, definitely, and I think for me it has been sort of a thought. So if you look at the landscape of enterprise development in South Africa, right, or rather if you look at the landscape of small business in particular, right, so access to markets is a big one. Access to markets, mentorship, finance. So in the form of access to markets, we have a number of societies, right, that are there at Nelson Mandela University, and often they host events, right? And the kind of student businesses that mushroom in spaces, they are not necessarily complex businesses. It's very simple businesses, but you have people with entrepreneurial potential. Do you get my point? And quite a lot of the time, most ideas, when they start off, they're very simple. Over time, they build complexities. So I think the gradual integration of some of these student entrepreneurs in supplying some of these societies with either platters or whatever the case may be, that could sort of function within that sort of context. So let's take, for instance, if you do muffins or something, you bake muffins. Ompako, yeah, ompako, some form of formal process where umpako can go about maybe supplying society, supplying essential not only society but some of these research chairs and whatnot, creating a process where you embrace the
So the university basically must first find within its own capacities what it can actually produce before venturing out to other suppliers, or could be outside.
Yeah, and I think also on the point of that, look at procurement. When they focus on finding suppliers, the university itself can use students, for developing programs that
design certain features of the university.
Broadly, so if it's a university,
like even the logo of the university, perhaps.
It could be anything that if that student entrepreneur is fit, if they meet certain criteria, they should then be allowed to participate in that. We have huge problems with availability of jobs. So entrepreneurship can play a role in alleviating that. So I think the university can do a lot.
And I mean it could be in the form of a supply development program, right? So take for instance, and something formalized really, nothing informal, something formalized where a person comes, they sign up, they state that they have this and X and Y and Z business, because it's a two-way thing, a two-way relationship. It's the relationship between the institution and the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur needs to play a role.
Like a
in terms of
supplier database, so to say, like I think similar to how government actually has it, where certain suppliers would have to register. Maybe the institution can have student suppliers that supply certain things, and then they're on that database, and then they be able to, based on the work, of course, that they've been doing and their competence, they then prefer it.
And they should be very much open to allowing that model to work, the university. So it's not like just dishing out and saying, okay, we're going to put you on a database and then that's that, I'm going to give all the work to someone else. I think really being patient in how, they can include these students within the processes and see the long-term social benefit of that as well. Be able to see that through. I think that's very key.
And not just having a database, Mesh. I think it should be much more, broader than that. Because by putting someone on a database, it does not develop them. At the end of the day, that particular student entrepreneur should be able to go and do business with Standard Bank from the business that they've done with the institution and the kind of incubation that they'd received because of they groomed a person who would be able to do business in the real sort of economy. So what that kind of program would look like, obviously it would involve an element where you allocate this particular entrepreneur with a mentor, right? A mentor, someone who's probably operated within that specific space and has experience within it and would share knowledge and insight. So take for instance, let's say Lomdu Pakayo is unable to cost their product properly. They're either over expensive or they're too cheap or whatever the case may be, because costing can also become a problem among entrepreneurs in general. Like you can, and once you get your costing wrong so
the ripple effects.
The ripple effects. So take for instance you under costing yakho, you can easily go about making a loss and think that this business is not a viable business. But had you had a mentor to show you that no man, let's see your books, do you get my point? And then when you go through the books, you actually realize, but no, you can actually cost this in this and this way. You can actually sell this product in this and this way. You can actually target these people in this and this way, instead of wasting your energy in a space in which you land. So an element of mentorship. Thirdly, access to finance. But then access to finance, access to finance when you are ready to receive finance. And not giving Umdu 10,000 to go and start a business. No, but giving Umdu finance because they've been working with the institution. They've gotten to a point where from the capacities that they have, there's been increased demand. But now they're unable to meet the increased demand. And as a result, they need financing to assist them to meet the bigger demand. So let's say Lomdo Wenza Ubaga muffins, now they need more trays. Do you get my point? They need a speed point because now they've opened an outlet at the gym. You understand?
More ovens.
Ovens, that sort of thing. They've opened an outlet at the gym. Basically, they opened an outlet at the gym where people who are at the gym can, buy these muffins. These muffins contain certain protein things. So those kind of things that allow the entrepreneur to experiment. So the financing would come in the form of not necessarily to start, but being able to take the business to the next level, and that specific entrepreneur being able to create some form of sustainable solution that they would not only sell to the institution, but even outside, should they be doing business with Standard Bank or whatever the case may be. Then within that process, you've created an enabling environment that allows the entrepreneur at the end of their study or whatever the case may be, they have a functional business that has gone about a proof of concept and can exist outside of that space.
What you term the real economy.
The real economy,
And we shouldn't, I think we should appreciate more the value that entrepreneurship could bring, to society, as a benefit to society, and the university should also view it as well. In whatever resources that they do provide to entrepreneurs, look at the long-term value of that
So
for
entrepreneurship
society.
as a social responsibility.
Well, in that view, they can view it. They can view the university's contribution in supporting their contribution to society.
Yeah.
Because we know that a lot of research that went into, for example, the development of computer, technology, it came from universities. Or research into vaccines came from universities. So really look at university as institutions that can contribute positively to the economy for the next maybe 50 to 100 years if we promote entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
So,
and
yes.
also another thing, like I think one key thing that Ovu is raising, you go to university, regardless of what study field you're studying there, for the purposes of adding value into the economy. And there's a lot of value that entrepreneurs add, because entrepreneurs go about creating new opportunities. New opportunities in the form of, you look at the people who supply that business. Now they've got a new client. You look at the business itself. If it grows over time, it employs people, right? Then you look at the people who purchase services from that specific business. So you've got a whole ecosystem of people whom can potentially benefit from a successful venture that is sort of guided. Do you get my point? If I can make a simple example within our business, right? The amount of jobs that we've been able to create, although they're not necessarily permanent, I think it's about 7 or 8 jobs we've been able to create. Now, it's about 7 or 8 families, you understand, that have been able to, access, some form of salary, finance, or support, whatever the case may be. Then now, furthermore, you look at the people that supply us. This morning, where they were at a farm in Seaview, right? And that farm, we literally buy amakanda, like the entire farm's eggs. So now that specific individual has a market that we're supplying to. And previously, they would be, stuck with those eggs, but without a market to supply to.
So it's a chain. It's an entrepreneurial can be a chain improvement of different businesses from the one. Okay, guys. Before we conclude, guys, because that has been a mouthful. Where do we see you guys in the next 5 years or so? What's the future of VegToYou? What's the future for Learn? What's the future for Ovu?
I think for
shortly.
For VegToYou, I think I see it definitely becoming a disruptive business that can, that can challenge the way that we purchase our foods, our groceries, the products that we buy every day, and finding new ways to deliver that value to customers. And building a business that's going to have a positive impact on society and on our stakeholders, essentially people who buy from us and our suppliers. And that's what I see it as being a positive change in our society.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for this particular insert. If you guys did not know anything about VegToYou, I'm sure again that you guys have written certain notes and are picking up 1 or 2 things that you can do to start your own disruptive business, as Ovuyo from VegToYou has said. Perhaps we should look at disrupting the society from the norms and inventing new things, coming up with new ideas that improve our economy. Again, igama lami nguYonela Mashalaba, aka the iceberg that never broke, for sure.